Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Nancy Drew, Whispers in the Fog. Chapter 11, Photographic Evidence. Nancy held her breath as she stared back at the large eye. No one made a sound. For a moment, the fog broke and she could see the source of the sad-sounding whispers and moans. A small whale stood right in front of her from some sort of holding pool. "A whale," Ned said, his voice low. "It's a whale." "A calf, I think," Nancy said. As she spoke, the whale disappeared beneath the surface. Nancy paddled along the perimeter of the pool, followed by Ned and George. The barriers seemed endless. "We better get back," George warned. "Katie will have the Coast Guard out after us." "I hate to leave, though," Nancy said. "I'm curious about what this pool is exactly. It gets the law for private citizens to capture whales, so this must be a scientific project. But I want to make sure. I'd love to get another look at that calf." "I agree with George. I'm tired and hungry." "It's time to give it up for now, Nancy," Ned said. Nancy knew they were right. She didn't want to worry the others, but she made a promise to herself to find out more about the whale calf and why it was trapped in the holding pool. Nancy, Ned, and George started in the general direction of the shore. The fog made the trip confusing, and Nancy felt disoriented. Finally, they reached some sea stacks near the shore. "I don't remember these rocks when we first went on our kayaks," George called out. "We were a little distracted by the sneakier, of course, but still." She skillfully maneuvered her way around the stacks. "This part of the shore doesn't look familiar at all," Ned said. "Where are we? It's hard to tell in this fog." "We're a lot farther north than we were when Jenna was swept out," Nancy said, looking toward the shore. "Let's go in here anyway. I'm ready to get out of this thing for a while." "Even I'm ready," George said. They half paddled, half drifted up the shore. When their kayaks bumped into the beach, they climbed out of their cockpits and stepped into the sand. "That's what I thought," Nancy said. "Look." She pointed to the bluffs in front of them. "We're north of where we started. This is that private property. Remember that fence we drove along to get down to the beach? I say we get out of here fast as we can." Nancy looked out across the ocean. She saw nothing but fog. No sea cave, no holding pool, no whale calf. They drained the water from their kayaks. Then Nancy let Ned and George down the beach as fast as they could. It was a cumbersome hike. Their legs were a little wobbly from being in the kayaks so long. Balancing their kayaks and paddles on their shoulders also slowed them down. Nancy kept pushing them faster. She couldn't shake a feeling they needed to get off this property before the owner saw them, although she knew that was unlikely. By now, they were completely enveloped by the fog bank as it headed for the forested hills. They finally ran out of the sandy beach and had to cross over large flat rocks, jumping from one to the other. At last they came to a metal suitcase leading to the top of the bluff. They hoisted their kayaks up to the steps and walked along the edge of the bluff until they came to the fence that ran along the side of the property. Ned went to the fence first, caught the kayaks and paddles as Nancy and George threw them over. The girls then scaled the fence and they were back on the public property again. Gratefully, they ran to the vans. Bess was waiting there, her jacket full of beautiful shells and large bags of abalone. "Where have you been?" she cried when she saw Nancy. "We've been so worried." "You won't believe it," Nancy said, breathless from the fence climbing on the run. "Are Katie and Jenna back yet?" "Been here and gone again," Bess said. "They're looking for you." "They're not going to find so much in this fog," Ned said. "I'll go down to the beach and see if I can get them in." "Good," Nancy said. "We'll stay in here in case you guys miss each other. Come back in 15 minutes, no matter what, okay? If they're not back by then, we'll make a new plan. I don't want you guys to keep running back and forth, missing each other." "I want to warn you about something," Beth said. "Jenna's still mad at Katie." "You mean because Katie forgot to warn her about the sneaker waves?" George asked, slumping down to sit on the ground next to the van. That's kind of lame. It was pretty scary. It was pretty scary, sure, but Jenna wasn't hurt, and Katie did apologize. Partly that, I think, best answer, but I guess Katie really showed her off in the workout, too. Sort of adding insult to injury, literally, George said on the strong. Exactly, Bess chimed in. Anyway, Jenna's really burned. She's barely speaking. Well, that sounds like she had a pretty bad day so far, Ned said. I can't really blame her if she's not in the mood. Be back in 15 or sooner. Nancy, George, and Bess watched him walk a few yards before disappearing into the fog. While they waited, Nancy and George told Bess about the sea case, the stream whispering sounds, and the calf. And I missed it, Beth said. A baby whale right in front of you. Ooh, I wish I'd been there. It was really cool, George said. You would have loved it, Bess. Nancy agreed, but I still wonder what the whale is doing. Nancy's words were cut off by Ned's yelling coming through the fog. I found them, he called. You found us? Katie said as they all joined Nancy, Bess, and George. You three were the missing ones. We knew where we were the whole time, right, Jenna? Yeah, right, Jenna muttered. I'm changing my clothes. She packed up her kayaking gear and got her van and closed the door. Nancy and the others took turns using Katie's van to change into jeans and sweaters. When everyone changed and the gear was all packed, Nancy and Ned went into Jenna's van. Nancy almost felt as she should shock, but when they got in, Jenna was her old self. I'm hungry, aren't you? She said as Nancy and Ned climbed in the van. Hope Katie's picked out a good place for dinner. Jenna followed Katie back to the drive that ran along the high fence while Nancy and Ned told her about the whale calf. As they pulled out on the coast road, Nancy took one last look through the fence on the property beyond. I've got to find out who owns that land, she thought, and why they have a baby whale. So, Nancy, have you come up with any more ideas about who's been giving Katie so much trouble? Jenna asked as she followed Katie's van down the coast highway. The picture of the whale calf disappeared with a poof from Nancy's mind. Thoughts of Holt Scotto, Andy Jason, and Joan Kim rushed in. She realized she hadn't given Katie's case a thought since Andy Jason had left the driveway that morning. No, Nancy said, focusing her thoughts. No, I haven't. After several miles of desolate, undeveloped coastline, they finally drove down to a more populated area. Katie pulled her van into a parking lot of a pizza place. Over the dinner, the six talked about finding a whale calf in a pool. I can hardly believe it, Kay said. It's against the law to tamper with these whales in any way. Are you sure it just wasn't a large porpoise or a shark or something? I mean, maybe after coming out of that dark cave and with that fog and everything. It was definitely a whale, Nancy said. Maybe there was more than one, Bess wondered. Do you suppose? Actually, there could have been, George pointed out. We only saw one end of the holding pool. It seemed to go on forever. Maybe that property belongs to some government agency or an environmental or scientific group of some kind, Jenna said. Maybe they're doing research on rescuing orphaned whales. I think I've heard enough about it, though, Katie said. I mean, it's pretty far away from where I live and everything, but I still think I would know about it, especially since it's whales and all. I'm sort of connected. I suppose you're right, Jenna said. And besides, I read that even orphaned whales should be left alone if all possible, Bess reported. Otherwise, members of the group. With whales, the group is called a pod, Katie interjected. Right, Bess continued. Anyway, other members of the pod will usually adopt and rear them. And you don't see any buildings on the property? Jenna asked. Nothing in the past for a lab or an administration or an office building? No, the fog was really thick, Ned pointed out. Nancy, you're so quiet, Bess observed. You hardly said anything. What are you thinking? Nancy put down her pizza and declared, I'm going to go back up there tomorrow morning, early, when the fog is far out over the ocean, and maybe I can see what's going on. Me too, Bess said. I'm going too. I can't wait to see the baby whale. Sounds like fun, Ned said. Sign me up. I'm going to pass, Katie said. As much as I'd like to go, I've got another major workout. I've already lost too much time this week with all this harassment. Katie, we're going to solve this case, Nancy said. I'm going to find out who's been bothering you. I promise. I just need a few hours tomorrow morning to check out this whale thing. I believe you, Katie said, smiling warmly. I'm sticking with Katie tomorrow, Jenna said with a mock frown. I've got to get back at her for today. George, how about you? Bess asked. Boy, I don't know. Both plans sound great. I think I'll stick with kayak, though. It's so cool being out there in the surf again. I have an idea, Katie said. Nancy, why don't we make the whale watching boat up there? You can drop Jenna, George, and me off for kayaking, and then take the boat for the rest of the way. That's a wonderful idea, Nancy agreed. We'll probably be able to get a better view of everything, the pool and the property from the boat. Well, Ned paid for the bill. The girls went into a small shop next door. I'm going to look for a kayak helmet, Jones said. I can't believe it, but I must have left mine at home. Can you use the one you borrowed from Katie? Bess asked. Not really, Jenna answered. It's really important to me to use all my own stuff. It's hard to explain. I understand, George said. Athletes don't like to borrow another athlete's gear. They want their own. They're almost superstitious about it. True, Jenna said. After all, she added with a laugh, I'm sure if my dad owned my helmet today, I'd have beaten Katie a long time. In your dreams, Katie said, poking her teammate with her elbow. Looks like you're out of luck, Bess said as she looked around the shop. It's mostly jewelry and clothing. All made by local artisans, the shopkeeper said, joining them. If you notice the photographs on the wall as you came in, many celebrities have stopped here on their way along the coast and bought our things. Others have heard by word of mouth from place custom orders. Please feel free to look around and let me know if I can help. She stepped away to greet another customer. Nancy and the others wandered around the shop. As Nancy heard a display case of accessories, her heart skipped a beat. One particular item attached her with its silvery gleam. It was a navy blue patent leather belt with a silver horse's head buckle. Exactly like the buckle that she had tugged from the rocky wall of the sea cave. Oh, you're drawn to one of my personal favorites, I see, the shopkeeper said as she swooped over. There are only 3 of these in existence. The one you're admiring, this one, she lifted her cardigan to show Nancy the one she herself was wearing, and the one I sold recently. The shopkeeper guided Nancy on the wall photograph. Let me see. Was that the one bought by a celebrity? No, there it is. I don't recognize anybody, do you? The shopkeeper pointed to a photograph, and Nancy's heart skipped a beat again. The woman in the photo wearing the horse's head buckle was Joan Kim. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.